All right, guys, this is session 3, and can you please mute yourself online? Please mute yourself. All right, guys, what I have for you today is Xpath axes. We'll talk about explicit weight. If I get a chance, I'll show you how to do select class. We'll also probably try to touch on assertion and maybe try catch. If not, we'll do it another day.
We didn't do that text and content for the expression.
Correct. Some things got missed yesterday. I'll also cover that. And no worries, all of these methods and codes will be used one point or another. If I can't use this today, later on, when we're going to do additional test cases, we will come across them, and it's going to be covered. So no worries there. Before we start, I just want to survey people and see how you all understood so far. So, Omar, can you name me 7 element locators?
Okay, you have ID.
ID?
You have
Name?
You have CSS.
Okay.
You have Xpath.
Xpath?
And you have a hypertext.
Link text?
Link text. We have partial link.
And partial link text. Yes. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
And class. Class name. Very good. Charmaine, which is the best way to locate an element?
It depends. Because if we get ID and name, if we feel like this is unique, then you can take it. Otherwise, we have to, if it is linked, we can take the link test. Otherwise, we need to check Xpath or CSS.
Very good answer. Awesome. Can't get any better.
You got a job.
Tanae?
Yes.
Why CSS is better than some of the other element locators?
I think might be faster. Capturing the element?
Yes. You don't want to say might be. That sounds like a student.
Okay.
In the interview, you want to say it with more assertiveness. If you want to say that some believe, that's fine. Don't want to say might be. But that is correct. Ranjana, what is the difference between absolute and relative Xpath? Anything you can give me, any pointers? Can you tell me which one is better?
Xpath.
Which Xpath? Absolute Xpath
Absolute.
or relative Xpath?
Absolute. Or relative. Because this one we can use like the multiple.
Sure, it has that feature. It does have that feature. Abu Siddiq online. How can I recognize? Can you hear me? You can unmute yourself, Abu Siddiq. Can you hear me, Abu?
Yes.
How can I tell which one is absolute Xpath and which one is relative Xpath by looking at?
Relative Xpath starts with double forward slash.
And
It uses attributes.
And absolute Xpath starts with
HTML.
HTML. That's how I know whether it's an absolute Xpath or relative Xpath. David online, is there any other way? Is there any other symbols inside absolute versus relative that will give me that hint that this is a relative or this is absolute? David?
Yes, I'm trying to consult my notes here.
Sure. Take your time.
I'm not saying what's different about it, but I do know that if you use the absolute and elements are changed, then it gets failed.
Correct. That would be, if I were to ask you that question, like, why is relative Xpath better than absolute Xpath, you need to say that absolute Xpath is vulnerable when developers add a feature. Your absolute Xpath is going to fail. If they add a node, if they add a button, anything, any element means they have to add a node into the HTML. And you got a failure. Your test case is not working. The other is, in absolute Xpath, it just uses tag name. You remember that? It just uses tag name. Do I have an example? Right here. This is an example of absolute Xpath right here. HTML body slash, just single forward slash tag name, tag name. Does it use attribute? No. But a relative Xpath uses double forward slash, tag name with square brackets, uses attribute inside. So that's the difference between that. Let's see. Junu online. What is implicit weight?
Implicit weight is the weight which we just have to use one time in our program, and it works, and we can specify the time.
Correct. Keep going. Good job. Why is it good? What else? I mean, if you specify 10 seconds, is it going to wait 10 seconds for every single element?
No, if it needs to wait 10 seconds for each and every element, then it does that. But if there is no need, it won't do that. So that is its advantage.
Correct. Good job. It will only wait up to maximum of seconds you provide if needed. So it's very intelligent. If it sees the element, it won't
Mhm.
wait.
Okay.
But if it doesn't see the element, if you said wait 15 seconds, it's going to wait up to 15 seconds. It's a very good wait method that you can use without slowing down your test case too much. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's very important that you carefully design your test case so it doesn't take up extra time. Every second matters, because if you have 300 test cases and if each test case you have unnecessary 2, 3, 4 seconds of wait, it adds up. When the developers are done with their code, these days, they want to push it to production fast. They don't want to wait. And for them to push it to production, you're going to have to run your test cases and check, make sure every single feature in that site is working correctly. And if your 300 test cases take 2 hours, you delayed the process of push to production. It's not just running the test cases and you tell them, hey, everything is good, let it go. There will be some failures here and there, and you have to look at those failures and decide, is this a major failure? Or is it minor? If it's minor, you might want to let that code go to production. If a button is not visible, that's going to be major, because they won't be able to, customer won't be able to log in, or customer won't be able to deposit money. That's going to be major. But a button named login got changed to sign in, supposed to be login, but if it got changed to sign in accidentally, is that a major failure? No. You can still let it go. On the next round, you can create a bug ticket for that. In the next round, the developers are going to fix that. But they don't have to hold off everything. Okay? You need your test cases to run fast, give you results fast, hopefully within 30 minutes maximum. Maybe 1 hour, but anything more than that, that's too much. Consider the time that you need to test those failures, check the failures, and then decide whether it's okay to let it go. Okay. What's the difference between, this goes for anybody, implicit wait and thread sleep? Interview questions. And you can raise your hand if you know.
Try to answer.
Is it Max?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So if we go back to explicit wait, we know that, we talked about implicit wait, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't think I actually know what explicit wait, but I can talk about
No, not the difference between implicit and explicit. I did not cover explicit.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask you that question. But what's the difference between implicit wait and thread dot sleep?
Okay, so first of all, in thread dot sleep, it will always sleep for the amount of time you give it. And in the explicit way, in the explicit wait, it intelligently decides if it needs more time or not. So with implicit wait, you don't have an option to 100% go for the amount of time you provide, because the system will decide how much time it needs. But with the thread sleep, you will 100%. If you set up 3 seconds, it will wait 3 seconds.
Wonderful. Thank you. Did you see how he kind of added his own little explanation that the system will decide? I didn't say that, right? He's kind of adding his personal touch to it. That's very important. If you do that, they know that you have experience or you're coming from that kind of background. So feel free to add that to it. What are the 3 types of weight, Anwar, discussed?
Implicit weight, explicit weight,
Mm-hmm.
and intelligent weight.
Starts with an F. Fluid weight.
Fluid
Didn't
weight.
go there, but I did mention what are the 3 types, and it's gonna be interview question. Okay, what are the types of weights? Let me see if I missed anything. I have to say I'm pretty impressed. All of you answered questions really awesome. I didn't have anybody say, I have no idea.
To me yesterday.
Yeah, and I kind of
That was the first example, though. I had to do it a couple times.
and I handpicked, randomly picked people, not like, oh, who knows the answer, so answer me. So that's a good survey. Keep up the good work, guys. All right, let's move on. So for session 3, let's begin with an end in mind. What are we going to achieve today? We're going to have a full-fledged test case for login. You as a QA person, you're not going to be writing codes all the time. Maybe half the time you're going to be writing codes. The other half the time, you're going to be formulating test case based on the features that you see. You're going to be interacting with your team. You're going to be interacting with BAs, developers. You're going to understand what the requirement is, and you are the expert in designing what should be tested, why, and create steps, and then go automate it. So if you are given a page like this, and you see the developers are building this, they're going to have a field here, and login here. You are sitting in that meeting, you see that they're working on it, you're going to have to design ways to test it. Okay. Sometimes, if this field, if a requirement of the field is that if you put in numbers and hit tab, that it's supposed to give you an error that this is not the correct type of, then you also need to test that. That's called negative testing. You test it with false data or bad data. This one doesn't, so I can't really show you on this one. We'll show it in a different test case another day. But today, let's start with a positive test case. That is, your expectation is if you put a proper username and proper password and hit the login button, customer should be able to log in and see the dashboard page like this. They should be able to see the dashboard page. That is your expectation for the work that the developers are doing for that particular page. So what are you going to do? A rule of thumb, remove this, log out of here. You have to ask simulating test. What can the what does the page do? Or however way you want to say. And 2, how do I test it? So in here, this page only takes in data and hit the login button. The only functionality of this page is username, password, sign in, and you should be able to see the dashboard page. That's it. There is actually another functionality on this page. Who can tell me what?
Forgot password.
Forgot password. If you forgot password, there is another option here, and this takes you through another route. So there is minimum 2 test cases. One for login, one for forgot password. Now, if you have the time, you can do negative testing where you put in wrong stuff and hit sign in, and you make sure that this is visible. That's a negative test. So 3 test cases would be good for this particular page. And again, if you put in wrong this and hit a tab, if there was another box come up, that will be another test case. But in this case, it doesn't. So 3 is good number. Let's just do 1 first.
Which one is the third one you got?
Third one is negative testing, like you put in weird stuff. Okay, try to log in, and it gives you an error or invalid username and password. Now, how are you going to write this test case? First, you got to give it a name. What are you testing? It should describe. So test case 1. What is the functionality, the main functionality of this? Login. So you can word it like this. User with valid credentials should be able to log in. That's your first test case. Yes? Test case 2. User should be able to retrieve password. Make sense? Test case 3. Invalid users should not be able to log in. You need to see it. It will be, as you practice, it will become intuitive. When you go to a new page, you see the functionality, you are gonna be creating these. It's like an art. Your test case is an artifact. Okay. It requires thought process first, design first. If you design it well, it's going to be easier for you to automate. If you don't design, jump into automation, you're going to be lost. You're going to have to take it step by step. Okay. Let's just do first one. You've seen test cases in Excel with columns. There will be interview questions for that. I'm not going to go there because you've done those classes, theory classes. Okay, just brush up on those, on some of those columns like steps. Then what? Before, what comes before that? What comes before expected results? If they ask you this question. Not scenario. What column comes if you need?
Description. Description. Yeah.
We got steps. Okay. Even before description is if I needed something.
Test case. Test case.
Precondition. Prerequisites. Correct. There could be prerequisite or precondition not needed, but if they ask you this question, they asked me in their interview. Then you can say that. So that means if there's a precondition, that could be a postcondition too, if they ask you, pick on. Then you got the description, you got expected results, then you got actual results, and then what else? Finally,
Pass and fail.
status or results or pass or fail.
Pass, fail.
Yes? Okay. I'm not going to do it that way. You don't have to write it that way for your design because it's going to take too long. You want to be fast and dirty. Okay. So you write down your steps immediately like this. You could say step 1, step 2, or you could, yeah, I'll just say 1. Okay. What do you have to do? Suppose you're already on this page. You could even go as far as if you want to write that, but not needed because you already know that you need to go on that page, right? But if you want to say go to TechBio's site, if you want to just say that, that's fine. But remember, you're quick and dirty now. You know what site you need to go to. You don't need to tell yourself that. You're just doing a design. When you went to this page, what are you going to do? Input username, correct. What next?
Enter the password. Input the password.
Input or enter password.
Password.
Okay.
And number 3, click the sign in button.
Okay. Click on sign in button. Okay. Anything else?
And this should be take you to the next page.
That will become too much. If you have one test case for each button, that will become too much. But the idea is if you touch anything, you are testing it. Okay. If I need to test that room over there, and I have to go through this room to test the other room, I am actually testing this as well. And what you might want to do is, a good practice is, why have a test case for these tables while I have to go through here, test that room? While I'm doing that, why don't I just test these tables and see if there's any gum over here? Okay, while I'm going and doing that, and I test that. I covered all of these while testing that. That way, I have one test case, reduces time. More test case, more login, goes back, and it adds at least 5-6 seconds. All right? So you have to be intelligent and say, I don't want to test every single thing and have a test case for every single thing. But how can I wrap up a lot of other stuff? How can I touch things while I'm going there? Why are you testing this if you're touching it? If you're touching this and entering username, if one day this field was not there, what's going to happen? Accidentally, if the developer did something that this field is not visible, what's going to happen with your test case? It's going to fail. It's going to fail right here. And it's going to tell you that this is where it failed. You're going to go manually test it. When you manually open up the website, you notice that field is no longer there. Guess what? You just found a bug. Your test case is success. It gave you something. Okay. So you don't really need to test to see whether this field is visible or not. You can just type in something, interact with it. And if it fails, if it's not there, something is broken with that, it will fail and tell you why it failed, where it failed. Okay? So you don't need to get too fancy with the code. I have no offense to Indian. I work with Indian team, and there's a gentleman who writes code for me. He's a very good programmer, and he thinks that if he makes it more complex and stuff, then I'm gonna like it. But I keep telling him, don't put too much code there, because what if something breaks? For me to debug your code is going to be very difficult. Okay? You don't have to put too many conditions on simple little things. Just touch it, go. Just interact and go. It will fail if it's not there. You don't have to validate whether this field is there or not, whether this field is there or not. Okay? More of that come to you. Okay. Now we have done this. What's the last thing? Which page? Dashboard page should display. Done. Okay. If dashboard page displays, we're done. Now, if you want to go a little bit farther, you can also go in here, click here, and go to Edit Profile, and check to see the login that you used, logged in with that same user account you were able to log into. What if it's stein@gmail.com, but you use the username for TechFiles demo? Then you logged into a different, somebody else's account. That's a bug. So you might want to go that far and even check that, but not today's class. We're just going to go in here and check to see if this dashboard page displays for now. Okay? Quick and dirty. All right. With this in mind, we're going to get started. So we're going to automate that. Plus, we're going to learn a lot of things like Xpath, Axes, and some of the other Xpath that I didn't go over, some of the other methods in it. Okay. All right. Notice something. What is the difference between, who can tell me, what is the difference between these four and number 5? Who said that? What is your name? Aziz. Correct. These are all user actions. User is going to the site. User is inputting username. User is inputting password. User is clicking on a button. These are all actions. But what's this?
Reaction. System reaction, I mean.
Reaction, correct. You want to call this validation. Okay. Action and validation. So your test case should always have two things. One is action, other is validation. So far, we have been only doing actions, but we have not done validation. Validation is done through something called assertion. Okay? So two ways you can validate, well, actually two ways. Let me make it 3. 3 ways to validate. 1, just by interacting with it. Like I said, if you're touching that button, you have validated it in some way. Because if that button wasn't there, it would fail. You don't need to have a fancy method to check whether the button is displayed. If not, then go ahead and fail it. Or why unnecessary extra code, if and else statement and, whatnot. 2, you can validate with explicit wait. I'll talk about the wait. And fanciest way of validating. You don't always need to do that. That's called assertion. That's it. If you can just get these three things, you're done. You're finished with automating test cases. Question, Charmaine? We have already been doing this. Clicking on a button, typing something in. That's a validation in a way. Even though it's an action, it is a validation in a way. I'll show you how these two are used shortly. But also, I need to cover Xpath axis. We'll wait for these test cases later, but we're just gonna focus on this while learning some of the new things. So, what I didn't cover yesterday in your Xpath, there's this symbol called star. You've probably seen it in Java class. Star means what? All. Or any.
baby.
No, it's SQL class, more likely.
Okay. All right. So let me show you in real world. Okay. Let me show you example. Here's what I had yesterday. We had a test package. We're still on the same CRM test. We're going to be continuing to use this today. We practice CSS element. We did various other elements. We have this login test. We're going to work in here, login test. So let's see what we have. In this test class, we created a method, handle CSS. I'm going to change this method to this test case right here. User with valid credential should be able to log in. Let's make it a little bit smaller and say valid user should be able to log in. Okay, this is our test case method. Are you okay with having this system.setProperty?
Yep.
Instantiating WebDriver with the Chrome driver power, and you know the browser is going to open here. You okay with 10-second implicit wait?
Yeah.
And you're okay with driver.get, and it takes you to this website. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to redo this whole thing. First, I'm going to take this and teach you how to use the star. Why do I need that? How is it beneficial? Let's see. You know you have up to this far already done. Go to text file site, correct? What's your next step? Input user. So once you have this design, you focus on one task at a time. Each of these, solve one at a time, you won't lose track and you won't get mixed up, and you'll be able to complete what you started. Otherwise, you go halfway, you're like, I don't know, forgot what I was going to do. Or it's going to take you time to figure out, where was I? So always write it down. In the future, you're going to see that every single one of these is going to become a method. Today, no. Today, we're going to go directly and do it. But every single one of these has to become a method, which you're going to call. And the method name is going to be exactly the same. Input username or input password. Okay? All right. Let's do input username. So I go here, I inspect. Obviously, you see the ID, you're going to go for ID or name. But I need to teach you Xpath. So I'm going to make things complicated. I'm going to hit Control F to get my search box. And I'm going to show you how to use the star. But before I do that, Mabruk, could you please give me the XPath of this node any way you want to? Good job.
Open
Good job.
bracket,
Square bracket and open close.
open close.
I see communication going over here. This can cause distraction. Sorry. To me particularly. And then at the rate symbol.
Then attribute, use type, then the value, equal value,
Any symbol?
any
Single quote. Inside the single quote,
value,
which is?
text.
Good job. Thank you. You guys get that? The syntax for this is right here. For XPath, it's // then you need the tag name. You do open, close parentheses. You have the @ symbol. Okay. And then the attribute, whichever the attribute you pick, must have an equal sign. Whatever the value of that attribute was, you put it in single quote. Okay. Simple? All right. Now, what if I go in here and for some reason I think that there is a possibility that someday this tag name may change. There may be a reason for that. Because what if they coded this as div and someday they fix it? It's supposed to be input, but they coded it as div. And you see that, or every new developer come in and they keep changing it. And your test case keeps failing. Your XPath keeps failing because it's looking for input and they change it to div. You get really mad. You're like, come on. You can take this input off and put a star saying, I don't care which tag name you give me. Check all. Understand? You could put a Shift 8 and it will still be fine. Okay? This could save your life on some of the failures that you're going to get. All right? So always check if you have one of one, which we do.
Excuse me, can you repeat that again, please?
Yes. So our basic syntax for relative XPath was that we needed // the tag name, which happens to be input right here. And the gentleman decided to pick this attribute right here, type equals text. See, this is exact copy of what he has here, with a little bit of a changes. He has this @ symbol before it, and all he did is change this double quote to a single quote. That's it. But now his test case keeps failing because new developers come in and they keep changing this to div, they keep changing this to span. If they change this to div, this is gonna fail. If they change this to span, this is gonna fail. And he's like, how many times do I need to change the XPath? It's a lot of maintenance. In that case, you can save yourself by saying, okay, I'm not even gonna put input or div or anything. I'm just gonna put a symbol that's gonna take whatever that's there. In that case, if you just delete that input right here, that tag name, and put a star there, that's gonna just take whatever this input or this tag name is. Doesn't really matter anymore. Okay? Don't go too deep into this. This
So
is it.
yeah. So there won't be any effect, whatever whatsoever they change it, or if we put that star, right?
Correct. That's correct.
All right. Thank you. Got it.
Well, so for our first example, let's take that. I'll copy this, and we're gonna go in here and write driver dot find element by dot xpath. Are you okay with me on my speed, or do I need to slow down? You got this from last time, correct? You understood that. And in here, we paste the xpath. We found the element. What do you want to do to the element? Send keys. And you know that if you know your username, you can just type it in right here, which is techfiosdemo@gmail. Good? Okay. What if that element wasn't there tomorrow? How is it's gonna fail, correct? Let's fail it. I can't really fail it by taking this element off, but suppose I'm gonna fail it by putting something weird in here. Same type of failure. It will fail exactly same way. Because it's gonna look for an element, it's not gonna be there. But you know that was the element for that button or that field, okay? So I'm just gonna forcefully fail it right now. Saving it, running it, F11. It's gonna go fast, doesn't matter. I just wanna see how it fails and I wanna show you something. So here it runs, goes to the site. It's not closing yet. How long is it gonna wait? 10 seconds. Has it not been 10 seconds? Okay, it didn't close. So with JUnit, it doesn't close unless you have a method to close it, but that's okay. We're just gonna leave it here. It never really went to this other part right here, okay? That's okay. If you see this red, you know it failed. Here's the report. 1 test case out of 1 error. Error is basically a type of failure, but with error, it's trying to tell you that it's some sort of DOM related, that it could not find something. There wasn't a fancy validation there, but something didn't work, okay? So let's see, what is it? You can see this X mark right here. There's your test case. Valid user should be able to log in. If you double click on this, you will see this. This is called stack trace. Okay, on this part right here. I cannot make it any larger, but let's take a look at what does it say here. org.openqa.selenium. That means Selenium error. Selenium caught the error. No such element exception. Every type of error is given to you through something called exception. This particular one is called no such element. It's telling you, I could not find the element. Okay, that's it. There's going to be a lot of exceptions that I will teach you over a period of time. Interview question is going to be, tell me some of the exceptions that you face on a daily basis or a regular basis. And you're going to have to tell them that a list, at least 3 minimum. If you can't talk about exceptions, that means you've never automated test case. If you automate test case, you will see there's failures. As you're building, you're going to get failures, you fix it, and then go move forward. So that's very important. But today, let's focus on no such element. No such element exception occurs when?
When we don't find the element.
When Selenium does not find an element. Okay. So knowing that, if you read farther, look what it has here. Did it give you a little hint of the element? Look at that. By what? You tried to get it by Xpath. Did it also give you the Xpath? Look at this on the right side. Okay. Now this is horrible. It's not really fun to read, but you can click on this button here, and what does it say? What does it say? Show stack trace in the console view. So if I do that, it's going to show up in here. And that's a little bit better, easier to read. So let me open up the console just a little bit more. And if I click here, all that info got over here with the bigger font. And you can actually increase the font here. Now let's take a look at this. Here's my no such element. Look at this. Unable to locate the element. What else do you need? It's not going to come up and say, what's up, yo? It's the element I couldn't find. This is it, okay? You just gotta, it's not fancy, not clean, but you gotta figure this out. You don't have to read anything else in here, just the first line. Okay. And there's that element, and you wrote the test case, you know where it is, what it is. If you absolutely don't, you can look for it in here. These links right there, these will take you to where the error is. But you gotta find where your test case is. If I scroll down, can somebody tell me which one of this will take me to the failure spot? Something familiar should be.
Login test.java.
Correct. So login test.java is your code. These are all other Java codes before. So you look at this one, you're like, I was testing that one. There's the login.java and there's line number 19. If you click on it, it's going to highlight where it failed. Simple. And there's that Xpath right there. And you can try to see what were you trying to do. Well, that was the username field. Let me go and check whether the username field is still there or not. It could be there. Maybe your Xpath changed. Then you got a maintenance. Your test case is bad. But if it's not there, give yourself a pat on the back. Your test case did what it was supposed to do. You caught a bug. Okay, a badge on your shoulder now. Okay, now, any question about no such element? When test case fails, how to catch it? Any question about that? Yes, sir.
We only found one exception in that example.
Correct.
Okay. There is an example of one exception.
One exception. I can't give you all. If I give you, I'll lose you. I'll give you baby step. Okay. But you compile it. Now you got this to next weekend. I'm going to ask you about this question. And I'll show you another exception. Then I'll ask you about that. I'll do spiral questioning, kind of review it. Okay.
So no such element exception and unable to locate element. Is it same?
Yes. But you should only say no such element exception. This is just trying to tell you a little bit nicer way, but this is what the interviewer wants to hear. It's always also case sensitive. Do you remember try catch in Java? We're going to try to catch these sometimes and handle it. And that's when you have to type this exactly the way it is. No such element exception in the Pascal case. It's case sensitive. So it matters how you say it. Okay? Interview, memorize exact word for word. No such element exception. Don't put any other word in it. Okay. Moving on. Now you know the use of star. Let's go and fix this guy. I'll put in star. Can I answer that question on the next round? So going back in here, this time I'm going to show you something called and, or let's do contain. Another tool for your Xpath is called contain method. Contains. Contains means it has it. Okay? It has it. Contains. How are we going to do that? Okay. And why? Let's say this is the element I want. Here it is right here. And I delete that. What is your name?
Swapna. Swapna.
Swapna?
Swapna.
Shapna? Rock on. Can you give me the Xpath for this element?
Forward slash.
Good job.
Double forward slash and input.
Good.
Bracket open close.
Open close square bracket.
Square
Be
bracket.
specific.
Square bracket. At the rate.
Mm-hmm.
And attribute. Style.
Give me another one.
ID.
No ID, no name.
Password.
Placeholder?
Placeholder. Equal.
Mm-hmm.
Single quote.
Okay.
And password.
Good. One element of one. Okay. What if one day some horrible developer tries working on a feature with that and he disregards that this is capital P. And he thought, I see type is password with the lowercase, then I'm just going to make that into lowercase. Now, will your Xpath pass? No. Your test case failed. Because of your test case. What are you going to do? You got 2 hours of maintenance. Now you got to fix that. Find why it failed. Go manually test it. Pull the code. Find where it is. Save it. Send it to your boss. He's going to review it. That's long process for tiny little thing. Okay? what you can do is you can use something called contain. Contain is different from this equal. Equal means it has to be exact, case by case sensitive. It has to be capital P or it won't even light up with yellow. But if you do contain, you have little or less restriction. Okay? You're making it smarter for the dumb developers. So the way to use that, let me just delete this whole thing. Contain is a method. Contains. Who can tell me, how do I know it's a method? It has open close parentheses. It's a method. It takes the attribute inside the parentheses. Okay? With me so far? It doesn't have an equal sign. It takes the attribute inside the parentheses. You're actually going to pass two things. One, you're going to pass the attribute and you're going to pass the value, but you're not going to put equal sign because you don't want them to be equal this time. You want to be like, whatever comes at it, give it to me. Okay? So first, you got to pass this attribute name, which is placeholder. Who can tell me what symbol I need to use before that? Keep thinking. That's good. I like answers.
Comma, I guess.
Comma will come later. Didn't we use @ symbol right before an attribute name? This is gonna use that as well. So these attribute name must come with @ symbol. So placeholder. Am I gonna put an equal sign now? No. But we're gonna put a comma to pass another thing in it, which is, and they have to go through which symbol? Single quote. So it's gonna be single quote. Now this time, you don't have to write the whole thing. You can just say, because you said that, I'm gonna write it like that. There you go. You're like,
Whoever said that, extra credit.
yeah. You're like, let the developer see my code now. I just did it for you. Did I get 1 of 1? I just skipped the letter P because you guys are keep messing me up. My test case, I'm not gonna use that word letter P. It's gonna work. Omar.
If we have like a code with more lines, it might happen that this one might interfere with another word in another Xpath.
Correct.
Because it has contained.
Correct. It would. If there was another placeholder with same as word, then it's gonna be 1 of 2, and then we got a problem. Right? What do we do in that case? I'm glad you brought this up. In that case, you can use multiple things. Okay? How? You just put an and right here. Let's see if it works. But just to clean things up, you are passing two things in this method. One is @attribute name with the comma, no equal sign, and whatever the letter part of it, kind of like partial link text. You're using part of that value, not the whole thing. And it still might be case sensitive, but you just use part of it. Now, Omar mentioned that what if another one had that? What do I do? You can add as many conditions as you want as long as your syntax is correct. You can say and put in another one. You tell me.
Can I use?
How about this one?
Should it be also next part or can be anything?
It's the Xpath type, yeah.
It should be Xpath as well.
See, this is just for contain.
Yeah. No, I mean the other condition should be as well. The other
Xpath syntax, not a new Xpath. How did you write Xpath inside this bracket before? What do you start with first? At the rate.
Yeah.
Give me this.
Plus.
Hey, you're just copy pasting. Equal.
Single quote.
Single quote.
Form dash control.
Form dash control light up. You want to add another one? Sure. You just put an end.
So just have to add the rate.
You're not learning anything new. Same thing, you're just adding more to it with the same style. As long as you follow the style, you can make it as fancy, as detailed as you want, based on your need. This will come from your experience. As your test cases fail, you're going to go in and play around with the Xpath, change it, and you're going to get better and better at it. Now, sometimes it might be you want to say or. It's not working. Never mind. Just leave it as in. Let me try something. I don't know. It's not like, but you should. You can also use or. Can I do contains again? Can I have multiple contains? Sure. Kaushik, can you give me contains with that class? Same way, but you're going to use contain this time, not just class equals form control, but with the method contains.
So contains.
Good job.
At the rate and pick another.
Yeah.
Probably a class.
Good.
Then
equal.
No, it's comma.
Good.
And then
single quote.
Single quote from control.
Form. I don't even need to write the whole because I use contain.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first example you gave us ignores the input part, right? That one.
With the star?
Right.
Yes.
This example ignores the actual inside the actual class, you know, with the change in the I would say
attribute.
Right?
Deals with attribute.
Does it only do the attribute or does it do the whole input itself? Or is it only taking a certain big
Only attribute.
Okay.
So I'll just take this weird Xpath. I did it to teach you, but you're not going to use this one, right? For this particular test, it's like ridiculous. But does it work? Yeah. Is it a smart one? Of course. What are the chances of failing? I would leave the class out, and then it's going to be very good. Driver.findElement by.xpath. And in here, paste that super long Xpath. Oops. Let me get this down
You
here.
typed in link text.
Thank you for correcting. In that case, here that would fail if I did that. And here, dot send keys password is ABC123. Okay. All right. Next, one more concept, and then we're done.
Einstein, quick
Yes.
question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Can we put a star in there instead of input, so
Sure.
we have more option?
Sure. If I put star here, will that work?
Yes.
Still work.
Okay, thanks.
And if that input got changed to div, now your test case still gonna pass.
Okay.
Thanks.
Welcome. Next concept is text. T-E-X-T. Is this a method?
Yes.
This does not take any parameter though. It doesn't. Let's go here. Take a look at this button. That's what we need, because that's our test case says, right? We've done this one, input password, click on the sign in button. And there's my sign in button. If I right click, inspect, there. This time, what if I just wanted to use this word sign in? I think that there won't be another button says sign in. So why don't I just use this text right here? But is this hyperlink?
No.
How do I know that it's not hyperlink?
It's not blue.
It's not blue in color, but what about in the DOM?
There is no example.
There is no.
Elevator.
The tag name is not A, and it doesn't have an H. Come on, give me the sentence. Yeah, because in the interview they ask you, how do I know this is not a link text? You're gonna say href. Is that gonna be a good answer? You're gonna have to say something about that. Href. What is href? Is it supposed to be there? Is it not supposed to be there? Right? Full sentence. Because href is not here and the tag name is not A, this is not a link text. Therefore, if I still want to use this text right here, sign in, because I think it's valuable, it will never change. There's a way to do that in the Xpath, and that is that text open close parentheses. Okay, let me show you how to do that. So here, there's that button, and quick inspect. Excuse me, right there, so you can see better. I'm gonna catch it by this text. I know it's black color. That means this is what's being displayed on the site. I know that's a text. Only what's in black you can use text open close. If not, you can't. Still the same format of Xpath. It's gonna start with // If you want to use the tag name, go for it. Or start. I'll just use the tag name. Okay. Same idea, open close square braces. Square bracket, not braces. And here, I'm not going to use an attribute. I'm going to use text. Do I need @ symbol? Why not?
Because you are not using it.
I'm not using attribute. This is text is not an attribute. Contains is not an attribute. Only what? Only what should have a @ symbol before it? Attribute name. So I'm just going to say text open close parentheses. Like I said, it does not take any parameters. Okay, it doesn't. But you can say equal to what? Just like you did that before. is that sign in text. If you copy that and place it here, there you go. How many? 1 of 1. See that? You're good to go. Some developers will accidentally put a space right here. Guess what? If I can't put a space here, but I can put a space here and see if it works. Doesn't. So if you don't bring that space in here, you're Xpath. How can I fix it? If you do what? 2 sign in? I'll give you another example on another day on that. Okay? There will be situations like that. How do I do that? You just add more attribute to it, like and, until you get to that point. But you'll have a situation I'll show you later. Can somebody tell me how do I fix this issue? That there was a space right here that I didn't count for. I didn't even know there was. But this equal sign makes it exact. It has to be exact. How about this? Look at this. If I take this S off, it's not going to work. You're getting there. You're on the right path. I've already talked to you.
Combining text and contains?
Yes. With the equal sign, it has to be exact. Didn't I say that? But if I don't want exact, I want some part of it. If you add me a space, it's okay. I didn't include the space. That's okay. It will still work. With what method? Contains. So you can still wrap this inside your contains and it will still work. So use all that in creative way, combine it to make things work for you. A lot of intelligence goes in here in designing.
Stain?
That's why you make the big box. Yes.
This is Tanvir from online. What if we use star instead of button? That works in this case?
Why not? We've been doing this all day long, right? Why not? But is it still gonna fix this? No.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not gonna fix it because it's still looking for all the tag names, but it still doesn't find exactly something that has ing in. Doesn't. It's looked for it, everything, but it doesn't find it. So, can somebody raise your hand and give me, how do I fix this with contain? Take a shot. I'll take this off. Sabika? Contains open close parenthesis, inside the parenthesis you're going to pass 2 things. One is text with a equal or comma and whatever word it's in, half of it. So you would say text, all lowercase, open close, that's what you're passing, with a comma, no equal, and in single quote, if you just say, what was that, sign in, so IGN part of it, look, it already picked it up. I can also add IN. If you add extra space though, it will fail. So you don't want to add space. But if they had a space, is it still gonna work? If they have the space, yours is still gonna work. However, if they have double space here, then it's not gonna work. In that case, you would probably need to take this out and just leave it like that. Okay? Because that's what I do. I go in here. See, I can't even copy this if I double click on it because it got highlighted. When it's highlighted, it won't let you copy it. So what I do is I go in here, mess it up. And then I copy this exact word for word, even space or other fancy symbols that I don't see. And I double click here and Control V paste it. And I take this mess out. Questions about contains and wrapping them in text? Yes.
So, the space matter and the text environment.
Hey guys, we got a valid question here.
They have space in the code, and like we use contain, and contain doesn't really matter.
It matters. It doesn't matter before it. It doesn't matter after it, but it matters inside it. Inside two words. If they had two spaces here and you have single space, it's not going to work. In that case, you might just want to use one word because you can't have a space inside a word to bypass that, okay? Would I be able to use another attribute in here? And? Can I use this? You can double click it, copy that whole thing. Who can tell me what symbol I need first? At the rate, paste it. What do I need to change? Double quote to single quote. And you're still good, 101. Use that creative knowledge as however combination you want to find the element you want. When there is a need, when there is not going to be good stuff right here, there won't be a class, there won't be a name, there won't be a type. What are you going to do? But there's a text there. Hey, use it. You got it in your arsenal. You can handle any situation. Okay? All right. At this case, we're going to take this messy stuff, go back to our project, driver dot find element by dot xpath, and in here we paste it. What are we going to do to it?
Right click.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead and run this so far and see what happens. Give it a couple of seconds, thread sleep. Then we're going to take a break, come back and do something else. Here, 3 seconds. And run it. Goes in, browser opens, username, password entered. We went to dashboard, 3 seconds. Hey, I was just testing. Scared me for a bit. Good so far? Let's take a break, come back. We'll do validation of the dashboard. And I'll show you some other Xpath methods. 10 minutes.
I have a quick question.
Can you? I have a question for you. Okay. How do I pause recording on this? It says stop your recording. Let me go ask this gentleman here. Can I answer these questions after the break? Because it's also my break.
Check what. No, he answered this side, not this side. And I raised him, he answered her. He answered you. I might, how much is that?
It's no longer being recorded.
So see this record, and looks like this one says stop your recording. So I'm afraid to click on it. I'm afraid to click on it because what if it stops?
Yeah, true. Don't do that. We can experiment later, maybe.
Just leave it.
Don't take a chance. Yeah.
All right.
But maybe that one is a old. Is it your laptop?
This is new. I mean, eventually they have updated their software. So
Oh, okay. But I think it's not there, so I'm still using the old one. It's not updated, and I haven't clicked on any update. I don't want to take a risk.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll then leave it like that.
Yeah, it's better.
Like this one, last. So if it is P, if it is small, not on top. If you use it, I feel like sometimes it's not that. I think we can just go and anything you can. Because I'm telling you, it's not one. Now we can see the one is that is really fast. And then input type all the systems. So in this case, I mean, one is next one we have to fill all the text box in the type. So if you all not going to type text, you get 10 on this. Yeah. So this is a very good I know the first one. It was always very different, right? Like password. Password. He got it. No, it was different instruction. Always there will be something we can. No. Oh, this one. Yeah. Nothing you can place order. But if it is text, if you go like only text and password, this is real. Just think about the part text and password. Now we have some text on the bottom. That is the password, text password. So these are not I was trying to think if that you're smaller. You're smaller. Don't. Yeah, right there. You know everything. This guy is talking his and we just need some time like that. That's me about getting money. That's not the main job is and teacher. What?
You had a question?
Oh. I think you're using this as word, right? If there any capital or lower case, they don't think we can use this content like as word. as good because I'm really confused about this word. Why they use this word? Already there is a one.
So let's say if you use, don't use contain. If you use the word password, you have to take exactly with that piece that's capital P. And one day, developer goes in and says, everything else I see is lowercase. Why is this capital P? Change it to a lowercase. Or lowercase. Because you have as a capital P, and 2 months later, they change the HTML to lowercase. Now your test case goes up there. That's fine. Yours is uppercase, code is lowercase. But if you use contain, right? Contain is not equal. It just says doesn't have it. Let's restrict it. And you skip the P altogether because let's say a situation C may have failed for the first letter, you should take the first letter out. Because you know the rest of the letters are always going to be. 2 months down the road, somebody else come in and say, no, I want to change it to capital P. This will still be able to find the rest of the letters, even though that's now, if you take a lot of those letters out, is that going to be good? Because there might be another one that just has the word. So in that case, you will just say you got 2 elements, and you have to make it one of one. You can't have 2 elements. Ask the Selenium to go click on it.
Regarding the star, should we practice to use star or what is it? Okay, for me, happiness comes to my
practice if you want to avoid something.
If I'm going out, if I'm
Certain situations. But you know, an input field should have the tag name. You can comfortably use that input.
So it's easy when you skip and you get more chance to match.
Yes, but also it can be scary.
Yeah, that's the reason.
You know why? Because
you can have more match.
Correct.
Because your element should be unique. If you pick a unique element, in future something happens and you are safe. And in that sense, I think input makes it not ideal. In this page, it's okay, but it's go further. So the input type is take is you suggest it.
I suggest everything depending on the situation.
So, but next when like you have more text, because that is very common input type text. Any text box is input type text.
This one is input. The other one could be span
I know.
or div.
But if it is a normal form, you have like 4, 5 text. Everyone is saying input type text and then started all the in that case.
In our case, this is a button. It's a button text.
No, fasting. Where you put the type is equal to.
Oh, type equals to text.
You can have like 4 or 5 boxes, text boxes, and
that input text, correct. You're not going to use in type equals text because there's more.
Yeah, that's it.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should only look for attribute that's unique to itself.
Yeah, because if we have in that form, we have like one is text, one is input type password. That's the reason it doesn't conflict. But if we have a long form,
yes,
then
correct.
About the name, right? Compound names are not unique, right? Like you cannot use this name as there's a compound with 2 names. I found it somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Even sometimes name doesn't work.
Name doesn't work.
Even sometimes ID doesn't work.
Right, so easy.
Sometimes they have dynamic ID. Every time you log in, ID is different. It chooses a random set of character as ID.
Like our get today's school, right? Use that ID. Use that date.
It's gonna pay.
Yeah.
Oh, you touched me on this one. Oh.
Could you please get the door for me?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Question for you. Every time you do Xpath, it has to be one-on-one, right? One-on-one. So,
Yes.
it has to be one-on-one, right? For it to work. Besides, we're using the campaign and everything else to.
For now, the answer is yes.
For now.
For now.
Because I want to make sure when we're practicing at home, it's like, hold on, why is it working?
For now, the answer is 1. That's gonna change. As I get you there, I'll change it. But right now, just focus on 1 of 1. All right, guys. Let's get going here. We're gonna try to kill several birds in one stone. Yeah, so far, we were able to use username, password, and sign in, correct? We're done with step 1, step 2, 3, and 4. Yeah? How are we gonna do step 5?
Go to that.
The system now, the system trans, right? System has to display the reaction. I mean,
Sure, that's one way.
Assertion.
Assertion is another way. Okay, I'll show you several ways. Okay. First, let's talk about Xpath axes. Then I'll explain explicit wait, and we'll wrap this into 1 for this guy. Okay. Xpath axes. This is advanced level of Xpath. If you know this, you're a genius. You're the grandmaster. Axis is the plural of the word axis. Do you remember this in math class? Where you had an y-axis and hey guys, just talk to me please. Right now it's my time. And you had the y-axis here, a little bit bigger font is better, and x-axis here. It comes from that same thing. In the DOM, you have these elements, these nodes. Take a look at these nodes. These lines that you see when you hover over, do you see this line right here, right under my pointer? Right there, kind of little line lights up, that's x-axis, y-axis. Okay. So it uses the idea of these axes or axes to get from one element to the other. Okay. Take a look at this. One way I'm going to validate that user was able to get into the dashboard page let me lower it right here, and I want this one to be a little bit bigger. What if I just wanted to check this, whether this dashboard word shows up or not? Okay, I could check that. And there's that element right there. Take a look at it. Look at the attributes. I'll have a question for you. What would be one way you can identify that element? Raise your hand. Color as an attribute right here? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like style equals?
Yeah.
All of these?
Like the text dashboard.
No, dashboard color.
Can you tell me why this style equals color and all this may not be a good one to pick?
It can be changed.
It can change. What if they don't like the color? They can change it. What's not gonna change?
The dashboard.
The word dashboard is not gonna change. Do you see there's a space right there?
Yeah.
If you put text equals to just dashboard, it's not gonna work. You gotta put that space. So you have to use contain on that one. So yeah, that will be the best way to do it is Xpath. There's no ID, there is no name. This is not a linked text. So only option you have is CSS or Xpath. Okay. I didn't show you how to get this with CSS. You don't need to. Xpath is simpler. So just for practice sake, let's see what you took away from here. What is your name? Yes. Sana, can you give me the XPath of getting this element with the text dashboard? Always start with what? Double forward slash.
Right, and then the tag name will be full cut.
Let me zoom in, sorry.
So do we want to put star, or you want me to put like an input name on it?
Yeah, just use H2 for now. Yeah,
Okay.
star if needed.
Okay.
So H2.
Square bracket, open close.
See, it's lighting up. That means you're in the right path. If it doesn't, then you're doing something wrong. Now what?
Okay, and then at.
At the rate?
Then on my attribute, so we'll take
So here's the node. And can you come and sit up front?
No, I can. I'm like, so I'm kind of confused. So I'll
Okay.
star. No, we don't. I'm sorry. So we'll take.
I'll help you out. Don't worry. Okay. But do me a favor. There's seat right here.
I can see it. But I'm kind of confused. I can see clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like the back seats because it's very far away.
It's my computer and they plug in, so I had to charge my computer.
Raise your hand. Anybody else? Yes.
Do you need to use the contain or?
Anyway, whatever I taught you, just give me the XPath. It's your choice.
This would add like 5.
Star?
Plus 5.
Style.
Star? Style? We're not using the attribute. We're just using this text. Stop now.
Contains open close. Instead of color.
Single quote.
Dashboard. No at the rate.
Correct. Why no at the rate?
This is not attribute.
Because this is not an attribute. At the rate only goes on the left side of an attribute. So you don't need it. And you got one of them. Right? That would be your easiest way to do this.
But I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I've been confused, like how are we gonna tell it's a class and we can use attributes or not? That was the question I was asking. Remember, because I missed kind of yesterday class some of it. So you said if it ends on 8 something, then it's gonna become a class. I was confused out there.
Okay.
How will we find out the difference if it's a class or it's a text?
You may be mixing it up with something, but just follow along, and I'll have more test cases, and we'll have more examples, and it will connect back together. Okay, just bear with me for a second because looks like you have mixed up with some other things. Just bear with me. So this would be the easiest way to do this, but I'm going to teach you Xpath X's to bypass and even use another fancy way of doing this. Okay, suppose you don't like to do it this way, or there is no text. Well, let's say there is text there, but you want to anchor it with this ID. Or what about this dashboard happens to be there's one of two. What would you do there? Imagine there's a word dashboard right here, and if you scroll down, there's a dashboard right here. This, if that had an H2 there as well, that would say one of two. What are you gonna do?
Can put and over there.
Sure, you can play with those options if there is some attributes you can pick on. But let's say nothing. And it's just the text dashboard. But you want this dashboard up here and not the dashboard down here. How are you going to do that? The only way to do that effectively is using Xpath X. What do I mean by that? Every chunk, every piece of code has their own little area. This dashboard element is going to be somewhere in this area up here, associated with these nodes. And if there was another dashboard, it will be way down here, maybe over here. Does that make sense? Associated with some of these guys. Okay? In other words, this node would be a child of these guys, and the other one may be a child of these guys. Okay? If you can kind of connect it to their father or grandfather and get to it, then you can avoid that second one. It won't light up the second. How are we going to do that? What if I got a Jose over here and a Jose over here? They're the same. It's giving me one of two. But I say, no. I don't want this Jose. His father's name is Gustavo. I want this Jose. His father's name is Jorge. Okay? So go to Jorge and his son, Jose, that's the one I want. That's Xpath Axis. Yes. You are connecting something. Or I have Charlie over here, Charlie over here. No, I don't want this Charlie, whose sister is Ranjana, or sibling is Ranjana. I want this Charlie, whose sister or sibling is Tanay. Okay. Then I got only one guy, one person, not two anymore. Okay. You can connect them with their family line, and that's Xpath Axis. Understand? Let's see how we're gonna do this.
Connecting with the hierarchy or something.
Correct.
Is it possible they're from the same family, we have similar names from the same path, but under the same family, if you trace them down?
There are situations like that. You would combine all your knowledge to add some attributes, see some changes. Worst case scenario, you're gonna have to use a little bit of absolute Xpath, where you're gonna say, not Charlie 1, give me Charlie 2. Is there a possibility that it could fail? Yeah. But you got no choice because you're dealing with a bad developer who doesn't want to give you a name or an ID for that element. He's lazy. What are you going to do? Deal with it.
Can I talk with you?
Yeah, you can ask him. And if he's good enough, next time, he might actually put some IDs there. You could say, it's really important. This node I'm really using in my test case, and it's messing me up. It's failing my test case. Could you put an ID there so I can always identify it? Sure. All he has to do is open the code and put in class equals footer. That's it. All he has to type. He's gonna make he's gonna give it maybe 1 or 2 pointers, which is like a couple of hours. He's gonna do it in 5 minutes and drink coffee next to the 1 hour. Okay. That's how the market is, which is good for us, right? Yeah, don't overwork yourself. All right, let's get back to it. Now, how am I going to connect this guy with his father right here, which we're going to say parent from now on. So H2's parent is this div. This div's parent is this div. This div's sibling, see this line? You go down, is this div. As long as they appear on the same axis, right there, sibling is always going to be pointing with that line. So this div is a brother or sister of this div. But this div, notice they're not on the same line. This div is the child of this div. This div is the parent of this div. This div is the parent of H2. H2 is the child of div. Are you getting this?
Yeah. Yes.
No brainer, right? No brainer. Now, there's a couple of other words that you need to understand. And you should be able to piece this together yourself. So Xpath axis, what are some of the relationships? You got a parent, you got child, you have something called, you don't say brothers or sisters, sibling. But how are we gonna know if, notice this div is a sibling of this div. And this div is a sibling of this div. How am I gonna know? How will Java know? If you are here and you wanna go here and you say sibling, how is he gonna know whether this one or this one or this one? Because they're all siblings. Which siblings are you talking about? You have to specify either saying following or preceding. Following, if you're here and you say following sibling, it's gonna go to the next one. And if you're here and say, go to preceding sibling, preceding meaning comes before, then it's going to go to this div. Understand? So, hence the wording comes following dash, and it always comes with the dash like that. Sibling, all lowercase, spelling matters. And on the sibling line, the other one is preceding dash sibling. Okay, these are the relationships. If you just say sibling, not allowed. You have to say following or preceding. It's either or, double or nothing. 5 leaves us with 2 more things. One, we didn't consider the great-great-grandfather or grandfather, and that word is ancestor. Ancestor wraps up with any grandfather or great-great-grandfather or great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. One with one word. So if we have ancestors are way up in the tree, we got to have a one opposite. Way down the tree. What word? Opposite of ancestor is descendant. Thank you, Sana. DESCENDANT. Always messes up with my spelling on this one. Okay. These are the 6 relationships you need to know. If you got this and can play around with it, you're done. Syntax, how are we going to use it? If you want to connect one Xpath with another, if you want to connect one node with another node, or you want to jump from one place to the other, for you to do that, if you want to use these, you have to use, again, a double // with that first XPath you created. You're joining 2 XPaths together. This is not AND. AND is inside one XPath. This is, you got one solid XPath syntax, and you're going to connect it with another XPath syntax together. You have to put double // and then you have to state the relationship, which is one of these 6. And then you have to put ::. I am a little bit fuzzy with this double or single. I'm human, I keep forgetting. But we're going to test it out and see which one works. And then I'll come back and correct this one. Okay? But I feel like it's double //. But sometimes they get cloudy a little bit. And then you start your new XPath from here on. Okay? This is it. So double // state the relationship and put double ::. And then another XPath, which could be tag name. Don't write this. @attribute. You see what I mean? Okay, I'm just going to delete this out. Let's see if we can handle this guy. Wait. So here's our guy, H2. We don't like it because it doesn't have an ID. But we see his parent, this guy, has an ID. This is not really parent. This is because this is his parent. His father is this, and his father is that. So kind of like great-great-grandfather, correct? In what relationship do this node H2 and this node have out of the 6 that I gave you? Descendant or ancestor. So H2 is the ancestor of this div. And this div, oh, I'm sorry. H2 is the descendant of this div. And this div is the ancestor of this H2. Okay? Confusing? But one thing for sure, if George is the father of Daniel, then Daniel has to be the child of George. They won't ever be sibling or ancestor or something, right? Whatever the relationship that is, it might be just the opposite version, how you say it, depending on how you say it. So that's the relationship these two guys have. What you could do is you are like, I like this better because this has an ID. So I want to get this element through him, through his grandfather. I don't want the other Jose. I want this Jose whose grandfather is ID page wrapper. Okay? So let's do that first, step at a time. What we're going to do is in here. Do you have a question? Any question? Okay. Online, I didn't give you the concept yet, so that's why I'm not asking any questions, because it's just basic stuff. But I'll let you ask me questions when this is done. So first, somebody I didn't ask any question to was you, sir, in the back, in the corner.
Yeah.
Can you give me the XPath of this node right here? So I'm going to delete this. This XPath of this node right here.
We can use simplified ID, right?
Yes. Well, not by ID. You're going to give me XPath, but you could use ID.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it?
Double forward slash.
Good job.
And the tag name is
Good job. Keep going.
and then square bracket.
Good job.
At the rate class. Sorry, at the rate ID.
Good job.
And what is the page wrapper to be in that?
Am I missing a symbol?
Equal.
Any other symbol? Single quote. And inside? Page. Done. We got the grandfather. But I want to jump from here to here. Okay? What I have to do is right outside. This is one XPath. I'm going to connect this XPath with another set of XPath here for this guy. Okay. Now here, if you say, what is the XPath axis symbol that I have to use? Double forward slash, and it could be single. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. And the relationship. This guy has what relationship to this guy? Descendant. So DESCENDANT, and then what other symbol I need? Double colon, not semicolon, double colon. And what you want to do when you get to this part, you want to check to see if you did this right. What you want to do is, if you put star, something should light up. If it lights up, I did it right. If it didn't light up, I made a mistake. So I'm going to put a star right here. It is double forward slash. But what if I spelled this wrong? What if I put an E here? And if I go in here and put a star, that means your mistake right here. Because all the way up to here, you had something light up. Just after you connected, so that means this part is correct. But just after you put double forward slash DESCEN DENT colon and star, nothing lights up. What did I do? Oh,
DANT.
That E should be A. Right. Okay. Now, notice.
1:23.
Correct, because it's taking this guy and going through everybody as their descendant, including the child is a descendant, grandchild is a descendant, great grandchild is descendant, but I only want this guy. So instead of star, who can tell me what do I need to type in?
Xpath for the child.
Which is?
H2.
Done.
Oh, just H2.
If you want to.
Oh, that's cool. I thought I have to do again same thing.
But if you want to go fancy, can I still say open close? Here's my tag name. There's my open close. And I want to say contains dashboard. As complicated as you want to make it, as long as your style syntax is correct, contains, and inside contains, we're going to say text, open close, comma, and in single quote, I say dashboard. I don't even have to type the whole thing. It's going to work. Okay. All right. I'm going to take this. For now, I'm just going to store it here. Can I store it in a string? How can I store that? Xpath. Container and call it. Can I say dashboard title Xpath? Give it a name, reasonable name. Somebody read my code will understand what it is, and then say equal to in double quote. I can put all that junk and close it with a semicolon. Will that be fine? Just store it. I can use it later, right? Okay. All right. Let me explain the other relationships if you wanted to explore. Same thing. What if? Now, the examples I'm going to give you, we're not going to use. Not today's class, but every once in a while, I'll pull one of these. I'll ask you questions to give me an Xpath axis. Okay. What if I wanted to say this H2 right here, and I'm going to go very shortcut now. I'm not going to put too much attributes. How many did I get? 1 of 1, so I'm happy right here for now. But I wanted to get this guy right here. Who can tell me what relationship do I need to use?
Preceding?
Parent.
No, parent, yeah.
Correct. So what's the syntax? Double forward slash parent double colon, and then what symbol I need to put to see if I got it right? Star. Did it light up? Back up and say div. How many elements are there? 1. What if I don't want? What if I'm here and I want to get this guy? Okay. You know what? What relationship does these two have? Sure?
No, just
It's the same.
They're same.
The same.
So what relationship? Siblings. So let's say I get this guy first, okay? But I want from him to this. He has no ID, nothing. How are you going to get that? He doesn't even have like text. But you know that he is the sibling of this guy who has an ID. Then I can hook it with this and get this guy. Your Xpath is not going to fail. So I could do the Xpath of this guy first. Double click, copy. Here's a shortcut way to do this. // take div, open close, @ symbol, paste, done. Change to single quote. You know you got this, but you don't want that. You want this one who has nothing. But that's an element. Maybe it's a button or whatever. Tell me. // following sibling, FOLLOING. I did it on purpose. And then colon, and then just do a star, see anything light up. Nothing. Made a spelling mistake. W and star. Wait.
There's so many colons in it.
Because there's a lot of them. But we were here. We wanted this guy, right? It's not supposed to go here. Unless there's more of this ID. Well, we did find only 1 of 1 or no? Yeah, 1 of 1. That doesn't seem right. Okay, let's see why it's doing that. Following, it lit up the child. Following sibling, colon, and if I say div, it's lighting up the child. It's not supposed to do that. I've never had this happen. But something is wrong with this. Let's try this guy. Okay. So if I go in here, div class footer, hopefully there's only one. One, and I want to get to this guy. Clearly they're sibling and preceding sibling, correct? So we got this light up. I want it to go here. So I would do what? // preceding. I did it on purpose. Colon, start, nothing. What happened? Still nothing? There's 5 of them? So it's working. If I say div, there's 4 of them. It's telling you there's 1, 2, probably picking up another one. Okay. What would you do in this case? You want this to, you are here. You want this to light up. You have to add a piece of absolute. It's finding 4 of them. This is probably number 4. See this? This is number 1. Brother number 2. Brother number 3 and 4. But you want 3. Third one. So if you put square bracket here and put 3, How about 1? I don't know why it's doing that. It's a bad website. There must be some weird code behind it that is coded as this happens to be 1. And also, preceding sibling should take you right 1 step up. Let's try on a different website, okay, guys? I'm not making this up. Give me a good website. Yahoo? Amazon. They're pretty good with their site. So if I go here, right click, inspect, increase the font, pull this to the left, Control F to get the search box. Oops. Okay. Maybe too big. Do you see this LI right here, list? And suppose, oh goodness, role list item, not a good one. But this div right here has an ID. None of these have an ID. Well, this one has widget something. Widget ID. See that? So I'll take this guy. And I'm going to hook it to this and go to this sister right here. So /div, open close, @ and paste that thing. Change it to single quote. Single quote. And we have this. If you close this, these are siblings. So if I want to go to the following sibling here, let's see if that works here. /following -sibling : what? Star. There. Beautiful. And if I say div, and if that happens, just put open close and 1. This would be 1 and this is 2. But again, if it's like that, you're not sure which one, just play around with that number and see which one. Now that is not a good thing to do, but when you have no other avenues, you gotta put everything you know and the best you can. Okay? The best Xpath you could find at that position or at that situation. Now, you can do this with ancestors, descendants, parent, any. Okay? I'm not going to show you everything right now. I will show you a shortcut. If you want to do parent, a shortcut way of from this div to go to this div who doesn't have an ID, instead of doing /parent : div, see, got lit up. There's a shortcut for parent only is /dot.
That is only for the parent.
Only for the parent. /dot is the shortcut. Now, having said that, you can actually use this multiple times. Meaning, if you wanted to jump from this parent now to this parent, you can just add another one. /dot. Every time you add that, it's going to take you higher and higher. Okay? But do you see, is this parent of this div? What relationship these two guys have? Sibling. So if I want from here to here, come on, give me more. Double forward slash. Preceding sibling, and then double colon. What? Star to check. It went there, but there's 32 of them because it goes up all the way hierarchy. Your cousin is a sibling too, in a way. But if you want to do one, sure, but in this case, you can get away with that one, but just put input. That's it. That tag name. Yeah. That way, you are not using absolute XPath. You just said, give me the sibling preceding that has the tag name input. And you can even specify type equals hidden. If you want to give that attribute, you can make it as fancy as you want. Understand? Gonna leave it at this. Any questions online or in class? Is it simple? Straightforward? No messy. It's logical. Correct? Are you gonna remember right now? No. If you don't practice, are you gonna remember? No. So you have to go home and practice these things. Okay? All right. Let's get out of here and go to our test case. And we're going to validate. We're done with Xpath X's, the basic concept. You got this. Okay? All you have to do now is to practice, make yourself better. If you go automate things while you're in my class, should you be using ID if ID is available? No, I'm using Xpath. You should use Xpath because anybody can do ID. You should do the complicated one. You should be using Xpath X's to practice. Understand? Because the rest is easy. So you practice the difficult stuff so you become the grandmaster of finding Xpaths. All right? That's all you need to become the object spy. If you got this covered, you're the master of the DOM. There's nothing else I need to teach you. You're done with this developer tool. Okay? Right here. All right, now we're going to be using these skills as we automate test cases. Okay? So you have all the knowledge you need to identify an element no matter what situation you face. Whether it has an attribute, whether not, no problem. You got the tools you need. We'll use it in a combined way. We're going to discuss which one is better in different situations, and those are going to be interview questions. Okay. Now, let's go back to our test case to finish this up. We are in this page here and don't need anything else, so I'm going to close this out. We have the XPath for this dashboard, and we're going to validate whether this dashboard is displayed. Is it there? Simplest way to do it is if you devise a smart wait that will only wait for this dashboard to display. Here's why this is very good. First of all, when you go in here and you put in username and password and you hit sign in, if the server is slow, it's gonna take a couple of seconds. See, it's already taken 1, 2, it took about 2.5 seconds to open. Okay? If you don't devise a wait for this dashboard to show up, it's going to fail because it took that time. So you have to put some sort of wait to wait for that element. A, you're making it wait for your program to work smoothly, and B, you're also checking that element, because if that element never showed up, it would fail, telling you most likely dashboard page never opened. or it took you somewhere else. Maybe there was a bug. Okay, so this is the simplest and I think is best way to validate this. So what is that wait that we're talking about? It is the explicit wait that we talked about. Okay. Explicit wait. That was the number 2 wait, because implicit was the first one. Explicit wait. Interview question must. This is a weight applied to specifically to each element each time. Unlike implicit wait, you set it once and you forget it. Applies to everybody. This wait you apply only to the elements you need. You can apply it to every element, but you have to do it every time. Too much code. Only do it for the ones you feel like there's a need for it. And this is gonna be so crucial in your automation. This way is the most important way. So applied each time with a time constraint, meaning you can say 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 50 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever, your choice. Just like implicit wait, no different. You specify a time. But the beauty of explicit wait is you can specify a condition. Such as the most used condition is visibility of element located. The next element to be clickable. Meaning if you say visibility of the element located, when the element is visible, done, stop the wait. Understand? If you say element to be clickable.
I mean, excuse me, which one is the, you're talking about the sites or the coding, the visibility? You are referring to the visibility of the website that we are opened, or the other side of the coding, the coded one?
The specific element, which is dashboard word. It is only applied to specific element, and it's gonna check whether that element is visible or not. The dashboard word. If the dashboard word is visible, it's gonna stop the wait if you choose this condition, visibility of element located. If you say element to be clickable and you apply that wait to dashboard, that element is not clickable anyway. It's not gonna work. What's the difference between element to be clickable? If it's a button, let's say, this is a button right here. See this add deposit? Is there a difference between element to be visible, this button to be visible, or this button to be clickable?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
To be visible, just there, it has no function.
It's for display.
To be clickable.
Yes, come on. Finish it.
Element to be clickable needs user action. Another thing doesn't need user access.
All of you are correct in some ways. Okay, it's like the thunderstorm lightning. When there's a rain and a thunderstorm, what do you see first, the lightning or the sound? You see the light first, then you hear the sound. Website sometimes works the same way. You will see this add deposit visible first, but you click on it, nothing happens because it did not create a connection to the server yet. It's coming. You've got to give it maybe 1 or 2 more seconds. And then this button, now if you click on it, it's going to take you to that form for add deposit. Understand? So all of these have different ways of dealing with things. They have certain behavior. To match the behavior, you may need to choose whichever condition you want to. But the most useful ones is visibility of the element located. But if it's a button and you see visibility, you saw it, but it's not good enough, but you want to click on it. You want to click on that button and you put visibility of the element, and then your test case failed. It tried to click on it. It clicked. No response from anybody because that add deposit button clickability, that ability did not come in yet. It saw the lightning, but the sound is still coming. When it came, maybe a couple of seconds, then you can click on it, it will work. That's when you would choose element to be clickable. Then it's gonna wait till it's gonna be clickable, and then it's gonna click on it. Understand? This is in a high level. Let's see how we're gonna use it now in code. So here's our code. We know we need to place, this is our element. We put it in a container called dashboard title Xpath. We want to wait for this element to be visible, not clickable, because is it a button? It's not a button. Why should I put element to be clickable? Just visible is fine. How are you going to do that? There is a class called WebDriver Wait, which comes with your Selenium jar files. So you start by instantiating that class. WebDriver Wait, and you give it a name, whatever name you want. Typically in the industry standard, they just call it wait, all lowercase. Equal to, how do we instantiate a class? New, and then same thing right here. Paste it right here. With this, you're giving this guy the power. Now, open close parenthesis, there is some things you have to pass in here. But let's just hover over and import WebDriver wait first. Okay, that error is gone. He's telling you, if you hover over, look what it says. The constructor WebDriver wait is undefined. And here's some ways to define it. What does it take as a parameter? It takes WebDriver, and it takes either this one, but see this long? That's actually time. Okay. So if I type in, if I want to pass WebDriver, I'm not going to pass WebDriver. Who is our driver? The driver, just the word driver is who our driver is. That's what we're going to pass. Okay. WebDriver is his type. Okay. Kaushik is our driver, but he's a man. WebDriver is the man. I'm not going to put man in here. That's his type. That's who he is, his gender. So I'm going to put the name of Kaushik here, not man. Make sense? Because man is his gender. WebDriver is the gender or the type. So I put in that driver guy that we have and give it a, let's say 10 seconds. And you're done.
You're going to put 10 only like that? Not milliseconds. Well,
No milliseconds. Only takes in seconds. Correct. Okay. Any question? Simple so far? What you just did, you took this driver guy. He had some powers. He was Spider-Man before. You wrapped this with this WebDriver wait, and with this new and the equal sign, with this reference name, now this guy, he became Superman. He not only has the power of the driver, he also has the power of the WebDriver wait. So this guy became a Superman. That means if you write his name and put a dot, look at all the abilities he got. He got a lot of abilities. Out of these abilities, you have to say, you have to pick something here called until. Okay? All right? Until when? So you choose until, wait until. This one you have to memorize. It doesn't tell you what to write in here now. It's expected conditions with capital X. You call this class expected conditions. And if you type it correctly and put a dot, then it gives you all the conditions that are there. What are the two conditions we talked about? Interview question. Visible, if you can memorize word for word, excellent. Visibility of the element located. And the other one was element to be clickable. These are interview questions, so you got to memorize it. Now, let's scroll up and down. There's thousands of them. No, maybe like 30 of them. But you're not going to use all of that. You're just going to be using visibility of element locator or element to be clickable for now. So if I put a dot and type visibility, it will narrow it down here. Then you have to be careful. Here's all the visibility. Do you see an invisibility? Can somebody raise your hand and tell me when you might be using invisibility? What kind of an element? Yeah. Why would you want to wait Java, have the Java wait for invisibility of something? Which element could that be?
Social security.
Null.
We want to hide the data encapsulation.
No.
Password.
Could there be something? I'll give you a hint. Could there be something on the site that is kind of still there and waiting and doesn't move on to the next?
Button.
Have you ever seen somewhere when you hit the submit button and there's like a spinner spinning?
Like loading.
Loading or some slider bar moving. Okay. How do I know how long that's going to take? But if you find that element in the DOM and then choose this option, says invisibility, it's going to wait until that thing is gone. Understand? One of these days we'll do that. So visibility of element located. Here you scan up and down and there's a lot, but just choose this one. visibility of element located, and then you have to type in by dot which element do you want. You type that in there, you're done. Okay, so you click on that one, take it down here, make sure you got the right one, because sometimes it picks up the wrong one. And here's your locator. Over here, you don't have to type in find element. You don't have to say driver dot, because guess what? That wait word has the power of the driver already. So we are waiting. Wait until expected conditions. You chose visibility because you thought, I just want to see the dashboard, I'm happy. Pass the test case. Don't see the dashboard, fail the test case. So here, you just have to put that element. The element, if it says locator, it should only start with by. Dot. Okay? If this said web element, then you have to start with driver dot. Find element, and then you have to do by and more. But if it said just said locator, in that case you just do from by dot. Okay, by dot. How did we want it? See that dashboard title right here? So we're gonna choose Xpath. Okay.
So now the title, not the space.
Do I need to copy all of this junk, or can I just take that? Because isn't this junk the same thing as this? So can I just take the beautiful stuff, which means this junk, and just put it in here? Do I need to put double quote?
No, it's a variable.
Because it's a variable. If I put the junk word for word, I would need double quote, because that would be a string. But if I'm just using a reference name for that string, you can just use the reference name and no double quote needed. Not to forget semicolon to close. Questions so far, guys? That was a lot.
Can you also show us the if it says web that you said, so we just have the example of it?
Say that again. I'm sorry, Max.
You know how you said that since we're using by.xpath right now?
Yeah.
But if you would say web, we would use the driver first, then by.
Correct.
Can you just show that so
Sure.
I guess I can write that down and have that.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Take a look at this. What if you chose a condition? I'm just going to delete it from here. Each bracket matters, guys. So when you delete, you got to be careful. Make sure there is a 1-to-1 matching. See, I have 2 here and I have 1 here. You're going to get an error. So you got to delete 1. If I go all the way to visibility, notice that you could use this guy too. Visibility off. What does it take? Web element. This one doesn't work for some reason. But if I took that, let's say it worked. It takes web element. If it takes web element, how are you gonna start the element? Driver. Dot find element. All of that. And then by dot xpath. Oops. By dot xpath. And then that dashboard title Xpath, you take it from here, paste it there. That will be if you were to choose visibility off which takes the entire element from driver, find element, and all that. But like I said, I tried it out. It doesn't work for some reason. Whoever created the class maybe did not do it well. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to mess with you and choose visibility of element located by with the by locator. Good thing I don't have to write much because it does the same thing though. By dot xpath makes it even simpler for me. Why would I even choose that other one? My line is smaller. There I have it. Once you have instantiated this class, WebDriver wait, you can use this wait in the future. You don't have to instantiate this class again. Meaning wait dot until, see, you can apply this wait to another element going forward. But you have to instantiate it once. Make sense? I can keep on using this wait guy as many times I want. I don't have to have this line anymore. You only write this line once. What if you're lazy and you don't want to even have two separate lines? Or what if you want to just do it in one line? It's still possible. But if you do it in one line, you have to do it multiple times. For each element, you have to write the whole thing. How? Here's how. You start with this part right here. Okay? You take that. See, you are actually, here's the power. You have assigned it to this guy, and then you work through that guy. But what if you don't want to assign it to anybody? You create the power and use it and be done with it. Then you just take that power part, you put a dot, look, it gave you until, and then say expected conditions dot visibility of element located by locator, and you put by dot xpath, and you copy paste the xpath right here, and you close it. You've done all of it. You instantiate it. You are waiting until condition is visibility of element. Which element? Here it is. And you are done. You never really saved this power or given it to somebody. If you do it that way, you have to keep on copying this whole thing just for another element. Only thing you would change is which element you want to wait for. With me so far? I see a lot of Indian folks from offshore, they use just one line. But we don't like to do it this way. We create this, instantiate it in a method, and we create a method to call this, which I'll teach you later on. Okay. Let me delete this. I just wanted to show you right now, and maybe just comment it out, because I'm going to give you this code for you to play with, copy paste, and post it on the website. Okay, we're almost done. Now, let's review what we did so far. We clicked on submit button. Sorry, here, login button. We saved the XPath of the dashboard title in here, in the string. We instantiated a WebDriver wait so that we can use explicit wait. So this is the only way you can explicit wait. This is the only way to use explicit wait. You passed the driver and gave it 10 seconds. You can change this 10 seconds to 20, 30, your choice. Industry standard, 60 seconds. Anything more than 60 seconds should raise a flag for the guys who work with the server. They need to fix that, otherwise companies will lose money. Okay, we're going to take a break shortly. In about 5 minutes, we're done. Just need to wrap this up. Then you took this reference name for this Superman. He gave you this power
Excuse
of
me,
until.
that explicit wait is the WebDriver wait you are referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
If they ask you, how do you create an explicit wait? You're going to say, we instantiate a class or create an object of class called WebDriver.
WebDriver, okay.
Okay, and then they ask you, what is the rest of the code? You don't have to say word for word, just say that with that WebDriver wait class reference name, typically we use wait word. We can wait until expected condition, and they might say, tell me some expected conditions. You know that's coming when you answer that question, but you want to drive your question that road where you know the answer to. And it's go, okay, tell me some of the expected conditions you used. You're going to say, mostly I just use visibility of element located. Sometimes I use element to be clickable. Other times maybe element to be invisibility of element located. And they're going to ask you, when would you use invisibility of element located? Your answer is going to be when there is a spinner or some sort of buffering time, some slider. I don't know when it's going to stop till the next button shows up or the form shows up or the account created shows up. That's when I use invisibility of element located. You're done. Period for explicit wait. Okay. And you pass. They're not going to ask you, okay, with the bilocator or the web element. They're not going to go that far. That's all they want to know, whether you know what this is. So we have put a 10-second wait. Okay. I want to put 1 second wait and see if it fails. Okay. But I'm also going to have to go to this implicit wait and change that, or maybe take it off. Comment it out. And I want to run this and see if it passes. Now, if the server is fast and it goes in with 1 second, then it's going to pass. If the server is more than 1 second delay, it's going to fail. So let's see. Save it, F11 to run it. Goes in, types in, sign in. It's more than 1 or 2 seconds, but it passed. Even if it was like 1 second. Sometimes it does this. What I do is go to Window, Perspective, Reset Perspective. If I lose control of this, and I have to delete this, that, and get back to Window, everything works fine now. Okay. But what if I didn't use explicit wait, and this is what I did? There's something else you can do. Thinking, should I give you a break first?
I have a question.
Yes.
We have we define the weight, the explicit weight, and then we have a sleep time of 3 seconds. Why do we have both of those?
Why do I have, hold on guys, why do I have wait thread sleep of 3 seconds? Is that the question?
Yes. Yes, why do we have the explicit wait and the sleep time together?
I have this because I wanted to stop and show you what happens. Because if I didn't, then you won't even see it. It would close really quickly. So when I'm done with my test case, am I going to keep that? No, I would take it off. But I would keep this explicit wait. Okay. Do you want to end the class early and not take a break?
Oh, yes.
I don't think we need a break. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take let's do 30 more minutes and we'll end the class. Okay. Just want to show you one more thing. Let's leave it here. I am gonna want to fail it, and I want to show you what happens. So what if after I went into click the submit button or log in, I wanted to put a type of validation for page title. Every page has a title. If you inspect the page, here's another way to validate. If you inspect every single page, you will notice that there is something called title. If you don't see it here, what you do is in this search box, type in // and type in the tag name title. Okay. How many did it find? 1. There should only be one tag name called title. Here's the word, all that goes into the title of that dashboard. Okay, that title should be different for different pages. And for dashboard, it just says billing. Should be dashboard or similar, but that's how they coded it. So if I wanted to check to see if I went there or not, that would be one way to validate. Okay, so what you do is you take this title. When you're building the test case, you mess this up a little bit, then you will be able to copy it. Double click and copy. Okay, this is my expected title. If the user was able to log into the dashboard, the title should match this. Does that make sense? Yeah. So nobody gave you just went to that site and you're like, it's there. Tomorrow, if it takes me to Facebook, will this title match? Nope. So let me just validate that. Okay. So what you can do is first, to make your life easy, you store it somewhere. Because you're going to do a comparison, correct? With an expected and actual. So you need how many variables? Two containers. Store them in 2 different containers and compare. If they match, pass it. If they fail, if they don't match, fail the test case. And I will know why it failed. I caught a bug. So if I want to store this string and call it expected title. With me so far? Equal to in double quote. Yes? Now, you have already clicked on the login button and you want to get the actual string actual title equals, how are you going to get that? Who's going to get it for you, first of all? Driver. He does everything for us, right? So let's see what we can do. Driver dot. He's saying, what would you want me to do with that? And in here, if you look at the list, there is something called get title. And it will get that title, semicolon to close. And it will take this title. This whole command will become the title. It's going to fetch it. This is going to vanish. The whole thing is going to become the title, whatever the title is, and it's going to be stored inside this container called actual title. Understand? All that's going to happen in this line. Now I have expected title, and driver got me the actual title, who put it right here for me, and I just have to check this bucket and compare with this bucket. How are we going to do it? If and else. If you do if and else, and say if these two are dot equals ignore case whatever you learned in Java class, then say test pass or test fail. Okay, you can do that, but there's something that's done for you. Let's just do it, okay, for fun. If open close braces, go inside the brace, hit a couple of enter, give yourself some space. In this parenthesis, you take expected condition. Order doesn't matter. You can take the actual first, doesn't matter. Dot equals, okay, ignore case. That way, if they change it to a lowercase, yeah, it won't matter. Not net. You opened up a can of worms. If I explain that, it's going to take me 30 minutes. Do you care? Do you want to fail a test case just because the developer changed the case? Are you validating the title or just the page opens? Two different things, right? Am I checking whether he's got a good grammar skill, or am I just checking whether the page opened or not? If you put exact, you're checking his grammar skill. But I don't need to check whether they spelled it right or not. As long as the title somehow matches, hey, I just wanted to check whether I went to the dashboard, not whether you don't know English. No, I'm not checking that. I'm not going to fail my test case because you don't know English, right? If you put an exact, your test case is going to fail because somebody messed up with the English. Don't want to test that. Don't fail your test case. Failure is a problem if it fails for a wrong reason. If it failed for a letter case, did you catch a bug? Are you going to tell the developer, go change that lowercase p to a capital P? They got bigger fish to fry. They're not going to go and change a letter. Okay? They have bigger things to do. That's going to be funny if you even approach them with this kind of changes. Okay? So now, yeah, you could say if they match, then console, maybe you can print out seesaw, and in here you could say test fast, whatever you want to write. You can write the whole paragraph, an essay in there, and print it out. It's your choice. But you would also have to say else what? You're gonna have to fail the test case. You're gonna have to fail the test case, right? Let's do this. Let's run it and see what happens. Or let's say test seesaw in here test failed or dashboard page did not display. This is how we write it, but not here. I'll show you a fancy thing, but I'm just going back to AP's class. Flashback. All right. So we got this here. I am just gonna give it thread sleep because I want it to go through it. It will fail if I don't. Thread.sleep. Maybe 2-3 seconds. Okay, just want it to go through this code, wait for that, because explicit wait is down here. I'm not using it, right? I'm going to just get it off because it will mess it up right now. So not going to use it, and let's go through this, and if it doesn't match, it's going to fail. If it matches, it's going to pass. It's going to say test pass. All right? So let's run this, and we're going to run it in different ways and see what happens. F11. We're going to pass it once. We're going to fail it once. Goes in, take files, sign in, 3 seconds. Got the title, closed it down, and green, passed it? Yeah. No problem, right? Now we're going to fail it. What am I going to do to fail it? I'm just going to mess it up. I'm going to mess up this username right here. See this take files Gmail? If I take this T away, it's a invalid username. So it won't be able to go to the dashboard. It will stay on that login page. It will get the title of the login page and compare it with the title of the dashboard page, and it's gonna fail. But hey, it passed. So did we get a message right here in the console? Passed because it went to this if condition. This condition was true, so it only activated this line and did not even go to this line. Now it's gonna go to this line. So we messed it up. Let's run it again. Launch, go to the site, type in invalid, give a password, a few seconds, closed. It told me dashboard page did not display, but how come the test case didn't fail? That's not good. Shouldn't it fail? And then tell me dashboard page did not display? Why didn't it fail? Because you never failed the test case. You executed command.
We didn't say fail, we said display did not.
You have to fail it yourself. And if you want to do that, you're taking control over Java. And there's a way to do it. It's not. You are going to throw an exception yourself. All failures are what? Exceptions. It was supposed to give you an exception. It didn't. Java didn't fail it. So you want to fail it yourself. That means you have to activate the command called throw. Throw an exception, okay? You're gonna write throw. I don't know if this is gonna work. I did not try this with my other batch, but I thought throw, throw, new. I'm actually taking you inside how whoever created the assertion method, which I'm going to show you just right after this. This is the raw material that goes into something shortcut I'm going to teach you. You don't have to use if and else. This is not how they do it. in the industry. This I just wanted to take you back to Java and AP's class to see if you were to do this. Throw new runtime exception. I have to check the spelling. It is correct. I thought that maybe T is going to be capital, but if error goes away, then that's correct. And in that runtime exception, you are taking control over Java. You are throwing an exception. You are failing it right here when it gets to this else condition. And in here, you can actually give it your failure message right here. Test fail. I want you to look at it both ways. You will see it's going to display this from this system out, and this runtime exception, it will fail it, and it will also give you this, and see how they look like. Okay, so let's look at it. Save it, run it. There's that wrong email. Tried to sign in, couldn't do it. Test case failed. Window did not close. That's the bad thing about JUnit. That's why we're going to learn testng. I'll show you how to close that. It got failed. If I double click on this, there's a stack trace. Let me pull this into this console section. What did the console say? Dashboard page did not display, which is that system.out. Okay, but if I take the JUnit failure, you threw an exception, didn't you? You failed it, and Java reported this runtime exception like you threw it. And whatever message you gave got printed, right? And you can make this as fancy as you want. Okay, you could write whatever you want. It's not done this way in the industry. Somebody made a simpler code. So instead of all of this, you do something called assertion. Okay. We're going back to this validation. You've learned 3 ways to validate an element. 1, interacting with the element. 2, explicit wait. And now you're going to finish off with assertion, and you're done. You have officially become an automation engineer today. All you have to do is practice. But here's going to wrap up the case. You write the word assert, okay? And depending on if it's JUnit, if it's testng, if it's Hamcrest, or whatever else, each of the test runner have their own ways of doing assertion. Okay? In JUnit, if you type in the word assert and put a dot, it gives you some things you can do. If I scroll down, see this right here, assert equals? Because we're comparing expected title with actual title, you can choose assert equals. Okay. It doesn't have the dot equals ignore case, unfortunately. But I'll show you a way to bypass. Now, look at this. Assert equals, assert equal, assert equal. What's the difference? Data type. One takes character, other takes double. What is our data type we're dealing with? String. So scroll down until you find string. But better yet, if you scroll down even more, see this string expected and string actual. That's your expected title, actual title, put a comma between it. It will compare, fail it. Do all that if and throw new runtime exception, all of that junk for you in one line. Okay? In one line. You don't have to write all that if else, throw new runtime exception. No. But is there a way to pass a message if it fails? This one doesn't have it. It just takes expected and actual will fail. It won't deliver a message why it failed. It will say, yeah, I expected this one and I expect this one. But what if I wanted to say dashboard page did not display? It won't say that. But if you scroll down a little bit more, you will see there's one more. See this assert equals string message, but this takes integer. I want a string expected. So if you scroll more down, you will find one that has assert equals string takes the message, string expected, string actual. This message will only get generated. This is the failure message. If it fails, it will display the message. If it passes, it would move on to the next line and execute that next code. With me so far? So if I click on this and hit enter, it brings me the shell. All I have to do is fill it in. Simple. Message has to go as what? String. Everything is string here. So I would say dashboard page did not display. Okay? With me? That's just the message. After the comma, it's expecting, then what is the expected string? Don't we have it in a container? Expected title. Take it, paste it. After the comma, it's saying then what's the actual you want? Didn't the driver get it for us? And didn't we save it here? Just copy that. Go here, paste it here. Now this method assert equals method, assert is a class. Inside that class, there's a method called assert equals. How do I know this is a class? What gives it away? Uppercase. Classes are always Pascal case, meaning first one is capital. How do I know this is a method inside that class? Because it's camel case. It starts with a lower case and then it goes uppercase. And also it comes with parentheses, open and close, and takes some sort of perimeter in it. Piece of cake? Let's do this. We got this assert equals and we don't need all of these junk. So minimize code. Less code, better. You're smarter programmer. More code, you're like, you don't know stuff. You're trying to put it and mix it all together. And that's how you're doing it. No, less code, better. So you know it's going to fail, right? Because we messed up with the username. Let's fail it and see what works, what happens. There's the launching, sorry. Goes in, invalid, sign in. Nah, doesn't work. There's the failure. Let's look at the failure. Did it give me any console out? No. You don't need console out in automation. We don't look at it. We look at whatever the test runner we're using and their report. This is it. This is the worst report ever. But we start with the worst, then we keep making it fancier later on down the road for you. TestNG is going to be better. Then BDD we're going to do at the end, what's going to be much nicer. So But I don't want to look at this. Let me just bring it to the console, even though I said we don't use console, but there's no choice. What does it say? JUnit framework comparison failure. It could be comparison failure, or sometimes it will say assertion error. Okay. Comparison failure or assertion error. Assertion error, when it says that, you know you put it there. Because you created that assert equals. You did that. Not Java, you did it on your own. You devised that validation.
That is not an exception.
It is not an exception, it's a failure that you devise. It's an assertion failure. And look, whatever you said, dashboard page did not display, got displayed right here. Okay? Look what it says. Expected was dashboard, text files, and all of that. Look, it put bracket right here. But actual was, everything else matched, but only difference it found on the first word, which was login, because it was still on the login page.
Yeah.
It was expecting dashboard, so it even kind of narrows it down to where it went. Okay, if I went to facebook.com, it would have the title of the Facebook right there. It would say expected this, but found Facebook. Understand? Let's pass it and be done with it. So I'm going to go back in here and put T. If it passes, is it going to give me what was expected? Is it going to print out any report?
No.
No. Closed, pass, no data. Nothing. Question about assertion.
Are we using the assertion for negative tests?
Yes. It's coming. Online question? All right. If no more questions, let me just take 5 more minutes of your time to show you something. Here's what you need to do. The video will be there. You can watch the video. You can also watch the video of previous batch. I'll keep reminding you. You can go in here, session 3, and all the notes are here. Okay. Explicit wait. Look, element to be clickable, invisibility, presence. Shh. Presence of element located, visibility of element located. Automation example. It has the code of an entire test case. You don't need to copy this, but you could use this as an example. Like, see this? Public void, user should be able to add deposit. All right. Maybe you need to go back because we're kind of behind from my other batch that I did. But if you go to the code for the other batch, you will see right here the set property. So you piece together these puzzles. WebDriver creating new. Look at that object spy. If you copy from here and paste it into your program, it's going to give you an error. Java is going to get nuts with so much code all at once. You got to give it one line at a time. And if you get an error on that line, hover over, fix that error before you move on to the next line. If you have 10 lines, then you try to fix an error. Guess what? The error on line number 10 is messing you up on the error number 2, line number 2. Even though you fixed line number 2, line number 10 is still showing a failure for line number 2. And you're trying to pull your hair out. Delete it start over, line by line. Okay? Now, I am going to take this code and I'm also going to paste it in this site right now, after you leave, for session 3 for you guys. Okay? So go to session 3 and paste it. Okay? It's going to be somewhere here. Here's your homework for the weekend. This might be a little too much. Do the homework for session 2. Where it says user will be able to add deposit. What you do is you log in. If you don't want to use explicit wait, put thread slip to begin with. Always is a good idea, put thread slip. Later on, you change it to explicit wait. If you have the time, you just need to finish the test case first. So you log in and you go to transactions, or here's another thing you can do. You go in here. By the way, it tells you the steps. Here's the username, password, there's the URL, here's the test case. User will be able to add deposit. Click on login button. Click on add deposit button on the dashboard. Anybody can do that, right? Here's that add deposit button. Inspect the element, click on it. If you click on it, it will take you to this page. Okay? Now, I did not show you how to use this drop down. You don't need it. Here's how you're going to do it. You need to choose one of these. Okay? What you do is if you inspect it, again, inspect. If you go up and down, again, sometimes it doesn't show all at once. You will see something called select. Okay, this is your HTML class. Sometimes it's a list. Remember that? Unordered list, ordered list. If you expand this, either it's on a list or sometimes it's called option. All of these things are in here. So if you just use your Xpath to identify any one you want and click on it, it's going to choose that right here. That's the simplest way. I don't use anything fancier. But funny thing is, see if I inspect this, does it take me to that select node? It doesn't. It takes me to something else, span. That's okay, you're smart. You know this span doesn't have this list of things. But this select right above it opens up with all these list of things that's in here. So just pick one of these elements and click on it, and it's going to choose that for you here. You don't need to do any date. Leave it the way it is. You put a description, anything you want, send keys. Find this element, send keys description. Find this element, send keys a number. Still send it as a string. Everything send as string, send keys string. And then click on this submit button. Let's do one. Cricket. Amount $50. If I hit submit, put a validation for this. You can put an explicit wait. You can use assertion. Okay, whatever you can. If you can't figure out explicit wait or assertion to validate this cricket or this 50, this element, you're fine. If you can get to this part to click this submit and put a number, give yourself a pat on the back. If you can validate this with some sort of assertion, oh my God, you're done. You've done a full test case from beginning to end, and that will give you 100. But I will still give you a 90 if you can hit the submit button and that can post over there. Understand? We're gonna leave it at this. Have a good rest of the weekend, whatever that's left of it, and I'll see you next weekend. You don't have to just have it in your system. Create a separate class for it and do it in there to keep things in. And copy paste the code. Launching the browser, learn how to copy things in the proper way. Yes, sir?
Hey, son, this is Eros. Like, when we use Assertion, when that test case fail, or like when you use it?
Validation. Hey, guys, 1 second, please. And you can talk if you leave the room, you can talk. The question was, when do we use assertion? Assertion is only used to validate something. I just added a deposit. Don't I need to validate whether it added or not? If I can validate that cricket with that 50 was added, good. Its software is working. So just to validate that part, you have to use assertion. Now, one thing you can do, which I didn't give you quite, you can take this element in the assertion, you know how we did driver.get page title? You can find this element and do like this, driver.find element by, or you could also say is display, but don't go there yet. You could say by dot whatever the XPath you find, and then say get text. Instead of get title, it will get the text for you. That's the text that you're gonna get is gonna be the actual deposit. Your expected deposit should be, expected description should be cricket, but your actual, if it comes out to be initial balance, it will fail. The assertion is gonna fail it, okay? And if it comes up as cricket and your expected was cricket, it's gonna pass it. I'm giving too much away. I want you to figure this out yourself, okay? All right, so if you can do that part, you're solid.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to compress it right now and upload it this evening and bug the administrator to link it to the object spy. Awesome. Awesome, guys. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.